What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
For Halloween 2020, I covered Distance, a spooky racing game that I'm very fond of. The audio mixing was horrible to the point where I've considered redoing the video, but a few of the people who watched anyway commented that it felt like the closest thing we'd ever get to a modern Hot Wheels Acceleracers game. I was inclined to agree, since my view of racing games is that arcade racers have taken a backseat to realistic graphical showcases, Mario Kart specifically, and games that are chasing that Mario Kart money. I figured I'd just have to emulate Burnout 3 and Underground 2 for the rest of my life, so you can imagine my surprise when a real, actual Hot Wheels game came to Steam. Hot Wheels Unleashed is a racing game and licensing nightmare from Milestone, an Italian studio specializing in, you guessed it, licensed racing games. They've made over 50 of them, so one would hope they know a thing or two about things that go fast. This one is seemingly set in an alternate dimension where wealthy nerds get really into Hot Wheels instead of Warhammer 40k. What's that? Wealthy nerds do get really into Hot Wheels in our dimension. Huh. Well, that makes Kiryu getting into Pocket Circuit make more sense. For hopefully obvious reasons, this game is firmly rooted in the arcade side of the genre. That's perfect for me. Owing to an influential title in my formative years, I have a deep love for racing, but slide off the hard simulation aspects. I want to love Forza, but my monkey brain is here for the go fast, not for parts and tuning. I hear about power to weight ratios and my brain starts making dial-up sounds, so a racer with toy cars and all the realism that implies is right up my alley. Tracks are built from iconic orange and blue plastic, and as far as I can tell, every car is based on a real Hot Wheels toy. That means you can race a Koenigsegg Jesko against Barbie's Dream Camper and a car made out of a hot dog, which is very funny. If that sounds like a visual clash, it's really not, because the art style makes the deliberate choice to recreate the physical toys as authentically as possible. They have that distinct die-cast car look with all the quirks of shrinking real cars to that size, and they're even stamped on the underside. Stretches of orange road have a grain to the plastic, and there's fingerprint spots that suggest you're racing on tracks somebody actually put together. The real thing doesn't come with light-up turn arrows, but otherwise these do a great job mimicking what you'd find at a store. They really nail the look, and it's a fantastic style choice that I really appreciated. The environments outside the tracks are surprisingly high quality for what I originally assumed was window dressing. Turns out, there's a reason for that. You're not bound to the track, and courses can have off-road sections that take you across a couch or table. If Bethesda had made this game, Todd Howard would have gone on camera and called it an innovative, dynamic, freeform racing experience or something. You see that air vent? You can drive there. That widens the possibilities for courses and makes it so that the environments have more than cosmetic differences. Instead of just being brown level and neon level, the skyscraper is a tight, highly vertical stage, and the garage is an Ocean Spectre's worst nightmare. I have to move on, but before I do, I just want to say that if you ever show up at a skate park and the graffiti is stuff like the Hot Wheels logo and the word skate park, it's full of narcs and you should find a different park. Overall, I was pretty pleased with the visuals. The direction they took the art style in is such a smart idea, and it's executed really well. The only things that really bothered me were how much they feel the need to remind you that it's a Hot Wheels game and track modules like the Spider. They're authentic to the toys, but just look a little cheaper than the track. I don't know, maybe I'm just mad about it ruining my lap times. As for performance, on my PC it runs great. The game supports DLSS, which kept my frame rate pinned to 144, but even with it off I was getting high frame rates consistently. The sound side of things is pretty good too. First up is voice work, specifically that there is none. Somebody made the very smart call to not have a dumb plot about like illegal underground Hot Wheels racing or whatever. There's no cutscenes and no dialogue. It's all about the racing, and to its credit, the racing sounds good. Engines roar and tires screech like you'd expect, and they even went the extra mile by having multiple engine sounds. In a realistic game, I expect that, but here it feels like a bonus. The F1 cars have a high-pitched whine, while trucks sound like they're compensating for something. From what I could tell, the licensed cars even sound like the real thing. It suggests high attention to detail, and if they're not entirely accurate, that's okay. If a car guy comes up to you and starts complaining about realism and accuracy in a Hot Wheels game, you don't have to put up with it. Just tell him to shut up, nerd, and show him how he can make a garbage truck hit a sick drift. That should get him off your back. That just leaves music, and this was a pleasant surprise. Not the biggest of the year, to be sure, but a welcome one. The menu music is kinda funky, and the race music is high energy and great for getting you psyched up to step on the gas. There's not a lot of music, so you'll hear the same tracks over and over, but I didn't really mind. The thing that bugged me most was when I'd be vibing with a track and it would suddenly change, like there's a mind goblin or gremlin in the passenger seat messing with the radio. Hey! I was listening to that. Overall, presentation is quite good, and I can't say enough how great the art style they went with is. I've seen a couple of attempts at what if Hot Wheels was real, and making it explicitly about toy cars and plastic tracks was the right call. There's a lot that works well to support the aesthetic, from the scaled levels to the little tape place markers on the starting block. Rounding things out are some nice visual effects like flames and speed lines when you boost. Speed lines might seem like a mundane thing to point to as a sign of quality, but I've seen worse speed lines in a bigger budget title this year. These were nice to see, especially since you'll be seeing a lot of them. Let's talk about gameplay. Describing a racing game is weirdly hard because so much of it feels obvious. Like, yeah, the point of each race in Unleashed is to be the first one to the finish line. Duh. It's like saying the point of Guilty Gear is to beat the other dude senseless, but like how Guilty Gear is complicated by movesets, tension, and tech like Roman cancels, this game is given depth thanks to vehicle characteristics and track design. Every car handles a little bit differently with varying top speed, acceleration, handling, and boost. That last one is maybe the most important mechanic. Boost is life. You want to be going fast, and boosting makes you go fast, so you want to be boosting as much as possible. I feel like I've heard this somewhere before. Your meter fills slowly over time, but much faster when you're drifting. You'll be drifting a lot since the tracks are designed around the idea that you're sliding through the turns and you have better control over your car than you would in something more realistic. Between good control and audiovisual feedback, the sense of speed is great. You might be racing toy cars on tracks measured in inches, but when you're in the moment it feels like you're blazing fast. This is one of those games where I forget that shifting in my seat doesn't help the car turn better. It's also probably a great first racing game. The physics are forgiving, the range of tracks makes for a good difficulty curve, and the controls are simple and accessible. I started with a gamepad, and that's probably the way to go if you have one, but the keyboard controls are a lot better than I expected. You can even play with one hand, which is great if you have accessibility needs, or if you're, that kind of car guy. As for the other kind of car guy, there's no steering wheel support, but check out this sick drift I can hit in a garbage truck. Once you hit the track, you'll find smart level design that takes advantage of the setting. It's the real star of the show. It's clear and guides the player, but also does Hot Wheels shit like make you race through loops and catch big air. Official tracks have a wide range of complexity. They start off nice and simple, a boost pad here, a jump there, and by the end you're driving upside down or catching air after doing 3 loops in a row, and it all feels like a natural progression. New challenges stayed exciting, and I never felt like the game was throwing me into something I wasn't prepared for. Courses are littered with objects that affect gameplay in ways that range from the good to the bad to the ugly. The good is generally some flavor of go faster, like a boost pad or accelerator strip. As for the bad, there's barriers that kill your speed and sections with no walls are at risk of falling off the track. This is a great toolkit for interesting level design. Tracks challenge you to dodge the bad stuff and slide from one boost to the next, and you'll see object placements that encourage quick decision making. Do I try to hit the speed boost or turn along the inside? Should I hit the accelerator or the boost pad? What about both? Then there's track modules. These are based on real playsets and have the widest quality variants. The Yeti makes patches of ice that kill your handling, which is a great risk-reward hazard. You can choose to avoid it, or if you're confident you won't need to turn, you can just plow through it. Tracks with the Nitrobot have strips that alternate between speeding you up and slowing you down, which rewards planning ahead and being in the right place at the right time. Then there's the Spider, which shoots webs that root you in place for several seconds if you drive over them. This is a much more binary dodge or get banished to last place kind of mechanic, and if there's already webs on the ground, dodging can feel a lot like threading a needle with another needle. On the other hand, the Pterodactyl creates tornadoes which root you in place for several seconds if you drive over... Wait, this is the same thing as the Spider! Yeah, it looks different, but functionally it's dodge or go to the Shadow Realm. The haunted house ghosts are barely a mechanic at all. They just put slime on the screen. I can do that by slapping the monitor with my dick. It's a little uneven. Some feel like well thought out systems, and some feel like the design direction was, well, we gotta put this playset in the game. 2 modules being different flavors of hard stop is a little disappointing, if only because the others are so good. At their worst, they're a nuisance, but at their best, they amplify the action. When I was in a comfortable lead, the track objects encourage learning routes and developing mastery, but when I turned up the difficulty, something special happened.
Kill him. Kill him now.
Turns out, this game is way more fun when you play it like a diecast death race. I had a great time fighting for position and trying to avoid hazards while pushing rivals into them. I can't help feeling like I've played this before. Let's see, good sense of speed, boost meters, gameplay that encourages aggressive driving. I am dangerously close to overdosing on mid-2000s nostalgia. The gameplay is a great time. Aggressively fighting for a position is a lot of fun, and there are some skips that are terrifying to try and so satisfying to nail. The driving feels great, and it's supported by levels that are thoughtfully made. There's a lot of verticality and creative design that takes advantage of the game's inherent arcadiness. But what if I don't want thoughtful design? What if what I really want is to race on Mickey's Dick Smasher? Some of you might have noticed I said official tracks earlier, implying the existence of unofficial tracks. If you did, pat yourself on the back and then go ahead and smash your toe on something for that authentic custom level experience. Hot Wheels Unleashed comes with a level editor, allowing players to create and share custom tracks, and as with all games that offer level editors, the quality can vary wildly. You've got the basics, straight line tracks for cheesing progression, and copies of fan favorites from other games, as well. What the fuck? There are some pretty complex tracks, as well as some pretty abysmal ones. You're required to go through a track yourself before you can upload it, so every track is possible, but you're not required to do it well. That means you can expect two flavors of heinous: unfun slogs from people that didn't know what they were doing, and sadistic kaizos from people that knew exactly what they were doing. Between those extremes, you've got a lot of room for creativity and expression, but it does have its limits, the biggest being that some modules can only be placed as the first piece of your track. That means you can't combine, say, the Nitro Bot with the Yeti, which could have been a fun combo. It's not the most powerful level editor I've seen, but I think given time there will be some real gems to play. There's just a lot of rough to sift through to find them, like the multiple straight line tracks made to cheese progression. Gee, Sero, I hear you say, that's the second time you've mentioned straight line tracks made to cheese progression. What's up with that? Am I glad you asked, rhetorical audience member? In the grim darkness of 2017, I bought and played Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 3. I don't want to say too much about it today, but it had issues. Two of the big ones were skulls, a grindy currency used to unlock elite units, and the process of leveling said elite units. Skulls would get cut after negative feedback, but leveling elites is still a grindy kill farm, to the point where the best way to do it is a user map that is a literal kill farm. If you're wondering how all this relates to Hot Wheels, let's go unlock a car. Wait, this is a loot box. Don't they know we fought a war over these? There's a rotating shop, but most of your collection is going to come out of a loot box. There's a dark alternate timeline where these cost $1 each. Okay, that's not great, but at least you know what you're getting. With loot boxes, you might get Twin Mill or an Audi, or if you're really lucky, you might get Triceratruck for the 48th time. You might hear that there's duplicates and go, oh, it's a grind fest, and you'd be right, but it's weirder than that. Put simply, it feels a lot like the game was gonna have microtransactions, but then they got cut at the last minute. Dupes can be scrapped for parts or sold for coins, with a visual I was not expecting from a rated E game. Parts are for upgrading cars, coins get you more boxes, and that's it. There's no path to a specific car, just waiting for a shop reset or another gamble that you might get a car you want this time. It's like 2015 all over again. Nerds on Reddit estimate that you'll have to open between 700 and 1,000 boxes to see every car. That's as much as 500,000 coins, and that's terrible. Coins are also used to buy tracks, but you get them for free by playing the City Rumble mode. It's also the best way to get cars and money. You can't buy coins, so it isn't even like they're nickel and diming people who just want to play multiplayer. Instead, once you've cleared the city map, you've only got a few options. One is to race on one of those straight line tracks I mentioned earlier. At least with Dawn of War I could go take a nap. 2 is paid expansions, which add City Rumble races that shower you in coins and free boxes. That's probably a coincidence. 3 is racing seasons, aka the new face of gross monetization. Oh, it's a battle pass, what a surprise, you shouldn't have. This isn't the worst battle pass I've seen, but that says more about how bad it gets than how good this one is. Tiers alternate between items and currency, and you might be thinking, oh gross, they're charging for coins, but no, those tiers are free. The stuff you're buying is cars and decor. The first season had a DC Comics theme, and... okay, I will always be against time-limited content, right? But I also can't think of anything I'd be less upset about missing out on than the Joker car. If you don't buy in, then it's a stream of coins just for playing the game, but XP from actually playing is next to none. The main source is daily challenges. These only take about 20 minutes a day, so it's not even like the game wants to be your second job, but it does want to be a daily chore. If you want XP after that, the most efficient way is to run one of those coin farm tracks ad nauseum, but you really shouldn't. As a result, the car collection aspect can be frustrating, which seems like not what you want from a Hot Wheels game. It's entirely chance-based and feels like it was designed to frustrate you into paying real money, but then none of that's there. It's a shame because the gameplay is a lot of fun if you can overlook the economy. The devs have made the shop rotate faster, so hopefully that front gets more love. For now, racing feels really good, just don't get hung up on getting a specific car. So that's Hot Wheels Unleashed. This might seem like an odd game to cover, but I had a great time with it. It brought up happy childhood memories of Burnout 3 and briefly awakened the car guy within. I actually bought Forza Horizon 5 because of this game before I remembered why I don't play Forza. The arcade driving model and wild tracks make this exactly the kind of racing game that I want. It sent friends on a major nostalgia trip and reminded me of the games that made me a fan of the genre. It shipped over 1 million copies in 2021, so it's proof arcade racing still has life in it. Hopefully we see more as a result of that. In the meantime, if you feel the same way about racing games as me, give this one a try. The loot boxes and currency grinds suck, but the core gameplay underneath is fast and fun in a way I haven't seen in years. Maybe I judged the Monster Energy Supercross guys too harshly.